it would be completely bonkers for the Conservative Party to change leaders now in the eyes of the public. If there was one thing that was going to make the polls even worse, it would be a long, drawn out, or even a short and quick Tory leadership election, because part of the reason we're in this mess is because we've had too many leaders over a short space of time. One thing the public do not like is all of this infighting. All I hear from Tory activists and Tory voters is, why do the Conservatives keep on fighting amongst themselves? Any fiscal event which cuts taxes, any number of boats which are stopped, any number of things that could happen to improve the fortunes of the Conservative Party and make people feel that they are better off, will not improve the Conservatives' position in the polls if everyone keeps fighting each other and the party continues to look like they're at war with each other and highly disorganised. Well, look, I was having a conversation with my colleagues Michael Portillo and Darren Grimes on GB News on Sunday when we were discussing another MRP poll which predicted the Conservatives would have less than 100 seats at the next general election. Just 4 days later, another MRP poll has come out saying that the Conservatives will have 154 seats. So at least it's better than the last one. But the point I'm making is that is a 50% difference in two polls, two MRP polls, one saying that the Conservatives will get less than 100 seats and one saying they'll get 150 seats. Now, obviously, the glaring fact is that is not enough for a majority. And no one is saying the Conservatives are doing well in the polls at the moment. But when the polls have those differences in numbers that they are spitting out, it is not unreasonable to say that the only poll that truly matters is the general election.
It's not
And we are at a point at the moment where we do not know really what the Labour Party stand for on anything. They seem to change their mind on every policy that they possibly bring out. Keir Starmer wanted free movement of people when he was the shadow Brexit secretary. He wanted to nationalise our utilities. He wanted to spend £28 billion on a green New Deal for the United Kingdom. He's gone back on all of those policies.
Albie, we know the challenges though of being in opposition, and if they lay all their cards out, the Conservatives have got plenty of time to unpick all of them. What I was going to
say is, once the cards are laid out and we understand exactly what it is that Labour want to deliver, and it is actually made clear that they actually won't be able to do very much if they're going to stick to the Conservatives' fiscal rules, which Rachel Reeves had already said she's going to do, what is going to be driving the enthusiasm for Labour? And I think at that point, we'll start to see the polls get closer.
Well, after the Conservative poll in January, there was all this sort of turmoil. Penny Mordaunt was forced to say several times that she wasn't after the top job. But the poll came out and suddenly there's, rumours of a significant reshuffle that could mean the leader of the party.
Yes, and most recently, we've heard that the woman for the job is apparently the former Home Secretary, Priti Patel. But look, all the potential runners and riders for the next leader of the Conservative Party, whether or not that is Priti Patel, Penny Mordaunt, James Cleverly, or Kemi Badenoch, have all said they're not interested in the job at the moment. And it would be completely bonkers. It would be completely bonkers for the Conservative Party to change leaders now in the eyes of the public. If there was one thing that was going to make the polls even worse, it would be a long, drawn out, or even a short and quick Tory leadership election, because part of the reason we're in this mess is because we've had too many leaders over a short space of time.
Cindy, one thing we were looking at, if we look at the poll, the cabinet ministers who are predicted to lose their seat, I mean, the shape of the Conservative Party could be very different come the general election, and therefore the people who are going to vote for who would be the leader will be different, and those eligible to be it as well. Cindy, are you there? Sounds like we've lost Cindy. Albie, I'll put that to you. I mean, the people who could be determining the future of the party, we don't quite know what shape that will take. 63 MPs from the Conservative Party already have said, look, I'm not even going to stand when it comes to the general election.
Well, of course, if these polls are correct, either the MRP polls that we've seen in the last 4 days, either the one which shows that the Conservatives are going to have less than 100 seats, or this poll today, which says the Conservatives are going to have 154 seats, and people like Penny Mordaunt might even lose their seats, I think it is far too early to be talking about who might be the next leader of the Conservative Party when we don't even know who the Conservative MPs are going to be after the general election, whenever that is.
Do you think everyone in the Conservative Party thinks that, Albie?
It's not a case of what they think. It is a fact. We do not know who is going to be an MP after the next general election. If these polls are right, it looks like a lot of good Conservative MPs that could be leader might well lose their seats. So it's completely premature to even be thinking about who is going to be the leader of the Conservative Party after the next general election if Rishi Sunak loses.
Let's think sort of best case scenario, Albie. There is still plenty of time before a general election and lots of things that could potentially shift public opinion. We've got another fiscal event from the Chancellor looming. We potentially have flights going off to Rwanda. Do you think either of those two things or something else could happen in a way? Maybe people start feeling financially a little bit better off. That means, the Conservatives could be laughing at that YouGov poll and say, look, this is what you predicted. Well, we did so much better.
I don't think it's ever wise to laugh at polls, but what I would say is I think your analysis is correct. There are a number of things that could happen between now and the general election which could change the fortunes for the Conservative Party. But the most important thing, actually, in my opinion, is that all Conservative MPs band together and back the Prime Minister. Because one thing the public do not like is all of this infighting. All I hear from Tory activists and Tory voters is, why do the Conservatives keep on fighting amongst themselves? Any fiscal event which cuts taxes, any number of boats which are stopped, any number of things that could happen to improve the fortunes of the Conservative Party and make people feel that they are better off, will not improve the Conservatives' position in the polls if everyone keeps fighting each other and the party continues to look like they're at war with each other and highly disorganized.